Good morning, and you're very welcome to the second in our series of webinars, the Ukrainian edible nuts harvest review and market update. My name is Jim Fitzpatrick. I'll be your moderator for this morning's session. Today we're going to talk about the Ukrainian edible nut sector, and after some short introductory remarks, we'll have an overview of the sector and some interesting reports on the walnuts harvest and on the long-term developments in hazelnuts, almonds, and the future of the Ukrainian edible nut sector. And that'll be followed by a series of presentations from private companies, growers, processors, exporters of high-quality natural edible nuts from Ukraine. If you have any questions, if you'd like to make any remarks, please type them into the chat or raise your hand and we'll get to you individually. So to open this morning's session, I'd like to hand you to the International Trade Center National Project Manager, Olena Kolomutseva. Elena.
Thank you, Jim. Good afternoon to all the participants. We're glad to welcome you today. I'm a representative of the International Trade Center. This is organization deals with the implementing the project in Ukraine to link Ukrainian SMEs in the fruits and vegetable sectors to global and domestic markets and value chains. In particular, we work with edible nut sector of Ukraine. We want the international market to be better aware of the situation with industry in Ukraine. So please join us, please ask your questions, everything you're interested in. We have today with us the representatives of the Ukrainian Nut Association, processors, producers, exporters, and they are ready to answer all of your questions. Thank you. And I'm really glad that today we have with us Andrei Remizov, Deputy Director for Entrepreneurship Development, State Institution, Entrepreneurship and Export Promotion Office. Andrei, the floor is yours. Thank you. Good day, dear colleagues.
So first of all, I would like to thank you for invitation to take part in this event, which is dedicated to the systematic work of all stakeholders in the sector aimed at presenting the potential of the Ukrainian producers and exporters of edible nuts. And so Ukraine is among the top 5 walnut producers in the world, and every year Ukraine exports almost 30,000 tons of walnuts, which makes our country I think, the largest European exporter. And the EU, the Middle East and Central Asia are the main buyers of Ukrainian walnuts. So unfortunately in 2020, walnut production declined slightly while walnut exports fell by 29%, and the main buyers of walnuts in the global market in 2020 were France, Turkey, Greece, and however, it is also worth considering the fact that the last year most of the Ukrainian sector, including IT, mechanical engineering, and the agro-industrial complex showed a negative export trend, unfortunately. But EPO is constantly working on the provision of various services in order to develop the export activities of Ukrainian companies. This includes analytical reviews, assistance in choosing markets, participation in international events, and direct search for partners. So for my part, I would also like to note the excellent initiative to create a catalog of the production and export potential of the nut sector in Ukraine. It's called Natural Quality Edible Nuts from Ukraine. I think this will enable Ukrainian producers to become visible in the international arena, and we will gladly join the promotion of the catalog among our foreign partners. Moreover, on September 21, the office launched an international version of the single export web portal, which also hosts such information, provides an opportunity for Ukrainian companies to create a profile and communicate with foreign importers. The main goal of this platform is to present all of the possibilities of Ukraine and to acquaint foreign importers with the current opportunities of our market, as well as to create a platform for negotiations between Ukrainian companies and potential partners from EU and other countries. And in the end, I would also like to thank our partners, the ITC project, linking Ukrainian SMEs in the fruits and vegetable sector to global and domestic markets and value chains. For this initiative, and for the development of Ukrainian business and the work that you, I think, do every day to develop Ukrainian potential and create new opportunities for our entrepreneurs. In turn, we are also ready to support initiatives and jointly develop synergies to create a favorable business ecosystem and increase export. So thank you, colleagues. Thank you for your attention, and good luck today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Andrei Rimesov, the Deputy Director for Entrepreneurship Development in the Entrepreneurship and Export Promotion Office of Ukraine. Next on your agenda is an overview of the Ukrainian nut sector. So I'll give you a quick run through the structure, the market, and some of the progress, and that will then be followed by an up-to-date harvest review from the president of the Ukrainian Nut Association, Mr. Gennady Yudin. So an overview of the Ukrainian edible nut sector. Ukraine is, as most people will know, has long been a powerhouse of agriculture. Its rich soils, huge land area, and ideal climate for the production of grain and oilseeds have made it a global leader in the export of these products. It's probably less well known that Ukraine has ideal conditions for growing edible nuts too, and indeed a long history of growing edible nuts. And the long history of walnuts is now being supplanted by the development of other tree nuts. Well known for walnuts, we know that walnuts are spread throughout the country. In the past, mainly grown in very traditional, wild, small gardens and smaller farms. This, of course, creates marketing challenges. It means that the product is suitable for certain uses. It also creates an opportunity in these segments. Most Ukrainian walnuts are still grown by small growers in a natural and environmentally positive way. Many of them actually grow wild and are gathered each year. But this is changing. Traditional walnut varieties have been increasingly supplemented by commercial farms that grow selected, native, and newly introduced varieties from the US, including Chandler variety, from France, and other high-quality producing regions. The sector can increasingly offer walnuts for the full range of applications, including those that require lighter color walnut kernels. Production of these varieties is now coming online, and the potential is enormous, given the advantages and the opportunity for greater cultivation of tree nuts. In fact, Ukraine has the largest land area of any country, which is suitable for the growing of walnuts. As you can see, production of walnuts in Ukraine has been on a gradually increasing upward trend. We're looking at a 8% growth compound annual in the 5 years to the 2018-19 season. This makes Ukraine the third fastest increasing of walnut producing countries. Ukraine has a long-term export market and also has a well-developed domestic processing industry. In that processing sector, there are 40 to 50 businesses, mainly concentrated in the top 10, which handle about 43% of the crop. There is a minimum of HACCP system in place that's legally binding within the country. And they are developing processed food safety certifications, including BRC. Many of the factories already have an ISO 22000, and that's based on high technical knowledge, based on many years' experience. The sector is developing the kind of food safety practices needed for export to high-value markets. If we look at the chain, we see the two chains, basically. The household and gatherers of walnuts, which still remains about 70% of the area. And then we have the commercial growers, which cover about 30% of the area, but these are very new and still only account for somewhere in the region of 2 to 4% of the overall volume production. There is a fully developed post-harvest structure, traders, merchants, collectors, bringing the product to processors who feed it into the domestic confectionery and snacks, and as you know, also into the export business. As Andreas said, the main export markets are the European Union and the Middle East. Within Ukraine, there is a well-developed institutional support structure. There are developing policies and structures for the building of a more robust, more quality-focused, food safe and sustainable tree nut sector. The key thing which doesn't change is the location. And if we look at the location of Ukraine in relation to the European Union market, if we look at it in relation to trading channels, we can see that within the region, about 50% of the top world trading channels for kernels are present, and 7 of 10 of the top in-shell trading channels. So Ukraine is ideally suited, not only for growing the product, for distributing it to the relevant high-value markets. And if we look at a map in terms of world hazelnut consumption, we know that the vast bulk of world hazelnut consumption is in Europe, and Ukraine is 4 to 5 days transit from the European market. And what's really important, particularly in the light of the developments in supply chains over the past 18 months or so, it's overland, it's without port disruption, it's without container disruption, it's reliable, it's regular, and it's a short supply chain. Walnuts increasingly are only part of the story. Half of the new plantations are now hazelnuts, 10% of new plantations are almonds, and developments in pistachio nuts will follow. So the sector is not just about walnuts. Hazelnuts have grown in Ukraine for generations. Now the commercial growers, using both native varieties and also selected varieties from Turkey, from Spain, from Italy, are applying, as you'll see in some of the videos to follow, modern agronomic practice to grow high quality, high yielding hazelnuts. And Ukraine will, in time, offer an alternative, near at hand supply to European buyers as the commercial farms expand and the hazelnut trees mature. Look out too for almonds. Grown in the warmer southern part of the country on commercial farms, Ukrainian almonds will soon feature in export markets. So if we look at the competitive advantages, we have a whole range of factors which lend themselves to the development of the tree nut sector in Ukraine. The climate, the soil, the availability of native varieties, the opportunity to scale, existing commercial production, increasing commercial production. And at the same time, we have a low use of chemicals, particularly in walnuts, giving an opportunity for organic certification, plus an existing processing industry. So there is experience, there are natural resources, the location is ideal for European markets, and the trade and tariff structure also encourages trade. So that existence of a successful domestic processing industry is an ideal platform to supplement commercial growing and natural growing, bring high levels of food safety, and bring the products from an existing processing industry to international markets. So in summary, we have a sector in development. We're seeing a transition to modern production, food safe processing, ideal location close to the major markets of Europe and the Middle East, and with opportunity not only to source products, but to invest in the development of the sector, both in commercial growing, export trade, and in processing. So that's a short overview of the sector. Let me now hand to Mr. Gennady Yudin, the president of the Ukrainian Nut Association, who will give us an overview of the walnut harvest 2021 and some news on the development of the hazelnuts and almonds sector in Ukraine. Gennady, good morning.
Good morning, Jim. Thank you, Jim, for giving a floor to me within this forum. I would like to thank all participants today and to demonstrate my presentation. It's on the screen. So the next slide, please. Good afternoon, dear colleagues. I'm the president of the Ukrainian Walnut Association that was established in 2008 as an association of amateur gardeners. Today, it's a branch professional organization in Ukraine that includes all main commercial orchards of Ukraine. These are 152 full members of the association, and processing enterprises and exporters. We have 262 associate members who are small farmers and horticultural practitioners. What do we do? What are our main tasks? This is first of all to represent the nut industry in the government and protect the interests of nut growers, to promote the nut industry, to organize selection and nurseries and cultivate certified seedlings, and what is the more important, to expand the areas of industrial, of commercial walnut orchards with regard to the main crops, walnut, hazelnut, and almonds. The next slide, please. Just a moment. As for the main topic of our today's meeting, this is Walnut Harvest Review. As it has already mentioned by Jim, Ukraine is well known at the nut market of the world. As for the experts, we rank fourth in the world. As for the walnut crops, you can see the upgoing trend line for the last 6 years. The exception was last year, 2020, that has already mentioned, when Ukraine faced a climate collapse for the first time in 20 years of meteorological observations. According to the State Meteorological Center, in 2020, there was the most snowless winter, dry spring, and summer drought, when in the southern regions of Ukraine, the heat remained above plus 35 degrees for 60 days without rains. We estimate the total shortage of harvest in 2020 at 22%, about 26,000 tons. The harvest of walnuts in 2020 was the lowest for the last 10 years, at about level of 98,000 tons. At the same time, the meteorological conditions of this year allow us to say that the harvest of walnuts in 2021 will amount to 124,000 tons. This cautious forecast is preconditioned by the wet by cool spring and the beginning of the summer of 2021 that delayed the ripening of the nut by almost 2.5 weeks. That will be mentioned later by my colleagues. Therefore, we have only started mass harvesting of nuts. But therefore, it is possible that in 10-12 days at the end of the harvesting process, the actual harvest will increase by 3-5%. Jim was right to say that before previous years, all experts of walnuts was comprised of the household walnuts and from walnuts from routes and plantings. But this year, the share of walnuts from households and routes and plantings will be at the level of 90%, and 10% will be exported from commercial orchards. As for the commercial growth from these commercial orchards is at the level of 1,200 tons, so 5-10% growth. Ukrainian hazelnuts have not been exported yet because this is a new commodity. Because the orchards in Ukraine appeared only like 5 years ago. Last year, we just started harvesting the first crop from the main hazelnut orchards. However, from 2021, commercial hazelnut orchards began to enter a phase of active fruiting. We expect the first commercial harvest that will amount to 200 tons. But with the active product fruiting, the hazelnut harvest will increase. We plan the first commercial harvest of almonds by 2024 because almond orchards are new to Ukraine. They were planted around 1 years ago. As I've already mentioned, Ukrainian walnut is well known to foreign buyers. Ukraine ranks fourth in the world in walnut exports. Until now, we actively exported walnuts. You can see this on the graph. That was mainly kernels. And at the same time, there was a large share of in-shell nuts. If we look at the last year, that was not favorable for us because, as I've already mentioned in the conclusions, the general consumption of nuts declined by 20-25%, as well as the yield. There was the decline preconditioned by COVID-19 and decrease of the general harvest due to climate conditions. But last year, we exported a small part of walnuts because of the decline in demand in Europe. And there are large carryovers in our warehouses as of 1st January of 2021, which is 30.5 thousand tons. In total, we exported last year of in-shell walnuts to the amount of almost 58,000 tons. Carryover made 30.5 thousand tons that were sold according to the State Customs Service and the State Statistics Service during the first 8 months of this year. So the internal consumption of walnut is 10,000 tons. So in total, this makes up the amount of last year that I've mentioned, which is 58,000 ton. So if we speak about the export trends, we can see about stable dynamics, especially if we talk about kernels. The next slide, please. As for the structure of our export, we can clearly see that Jim has already mentioned that Europe is the main buyer of shelled walnuts. This is which makes around 59% of total exports. There is a significant reduction in exports of in-shell nuts to a minimum value of 3.6%. This is due to the fact that there was the decrease demand last year. But we have a realistic assessment of our exports, and our main area of sales is Europe, due to the fact that the European Union standards for the sale and control of marketable quality of walnuts have been implemented in Ukraine. DDP, the quality standards of the UNECE. This is DDF2 kernel, DDF3 hazelnuts and shell, DDF4 hazelnut kernels, DDF6 almond kernels. Today, we have harmonized our standards with the European standards in terms of production and export of walnuts, hazelnuts, and almond for the future to Europe. Additional advantage of this type of export include the following: logistical proximity of European consumers. For example, for export consignment to Germany, transport duration term from Kiev to Berlin makes up to 4 days. Moreover, there is no need to use containers, and we do not need to use ports, which is very important for today if we speak about export opportunities for our products to Europe. I've already mentioned that commercial orchards are a new industry for Ukraine. At this slide, you can see that commercial orchards started developing only 5-6 years ago. So at first, these were walnut orchards, but over the last 4 years, we can see active development of hazelnut orchards. And as for potential demand of our producers, we can see that by 2030, we will confidently reach the total area of commercial orchards in Ukraine of 30,000 hectares, including 50% of hazelnut orchards, around 50,000 hectares, 1/3 walnut orchards, 5,000 will be occupied by almond orchards. That is, we started planting only last year. The next slide, please. We have a new activity that started only 3-4 years ago. This is growing environmentally friendly products in orchards certified in the category organic standard. As you can see on the slide, currently, over the last 3 years, we have been increasing the number of organic certificates for commercial orchards. So we can speak about sustainable growth and the understanding of the necessity to certify production, because if we speak about conditions in Ukraine, about climate, soils, allow us to grow ecologically clean and friendly products. Our cautious forecasts show that the general amount of certified orchards according to organic standards will be at the level of 6,000 hectares. This is a cautious forecast because, of course, the certification is a complex process, but this number shows the dynamics clearly and the opportunity of further growth. When we speak about commercial orchards, there is a comprehensive state program to support horticulture in Ukraine in general. Every year, over the last 3 years, the budget of Ukraine provides for more than $14 million. This year, this amount reached $16 million. We're responsible, and the budget of Ukraine will provide even bigger amounts to support commercial orchards, and the support will include melioration, equipment, including of foreign production. This general slide shows the share of nuts orchards in Ukraine in general, within the horticulture of Ukraine. And you can see that almost half of new garden orchards of Ukraine are walnuts, hazelnuts, and almonds. This share makes 44% of all new orchards in the country over the last 3 years. And these dynamics will continue. So, what are the future prospects? First of all, taking in consideration our soils and climate, we can speak about opportunities for further expansion of commercial orchards of walnut, hazelnut, and almond from the best varieties, both of Ukrainian and international selection, new selection. As Jim has already mentioned, we have French varieties of nuts in Ukraine, American Chandler variety, and we have find also such Ukrainian varieties as Pishansky of high quality. As for other nuts, we have varieties from Italy and other European countries. That's why we're sure that they will be of high demand at the European market. We should speak here about the development of cooperation of large and small commercial orchards for creation of the combined export parties of a homogeneous, high-quality nut. Exports from commercial orchards give us an undoubted benefit, which is 100% traceability of the export batch, starting from production to processing and export. In our association, we call this program Orchard Processing Expert. As for organic certification, our main export and processing enterprises are undergoing international certification as well, not only orchards. The next step is the development of commercial orchards with regard to technologies in order to improve quality. We learn a lot nowadays because the handling technology for high quality nuts still requires new knowledge for us. That's why we learn from our international colleagues, because the general walnut and hazelnut trainings allow us to use the same approaches to improve quality and crops. The next item is food safety control, and also the possibility of systematic and high quality export. Today, the world famous Ukrainian black soil Chernozymes grow industrial orchards of high quality walnuts, hazelnuts, and almonds, which meet the highest standards in terms of taste and calories. That's why we would like to invite you to Ukraine we are glad to invite our colleagues and international customers to visit our orchards. We're open for cooperation. Our orchards are ready to show you crops, and our processors are ready to show the high quality of their technical means to export Ukrainian, high quality Ukrainian nut products. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Gennady. Gennady Yudin, the president of the Ukrainian Nut Association. I have one or two questions on the live feed. Gennady, a question for you. Someone asks, what is the position on land title? What's the position on land leases for investors in commercial production in Ukraine? And in particular, how long can leases be established for?
Очень важный вопрос.
This is a very important question. This is one of the main questions if we speak about commercial orchards, because of course, commercial orchards are long-term projects that envisaged 20, 25, or even more years. That's why, of course, Ukrainian legislation today allows us to lease lands up to 49 years. On the other hand, which is also very important, today we have opened our previously closed land market in Ukraine. That's why, starting from these years, we are able to buy lands in Ukraine, which is very important for our growers and producers. Now they can buy lands and not only lease lands as it was previously possible. That's why if we speak about melioration and other issues, the opportunity to buy land in Ukraine allow us to stabilize development of commercial growth and horticulture in Ukraine in general for the upcoming years. That was proved by the trends I've shown in my presentation. These two guarantees allow us to improve the production. This is long-term lease for 49 years and the opportunity to buy lands. Thank you for your question.
Thank you, Gennady. And a second question, a follow-up from the same person. What about the availability of planting stock? You mentioned different origins, you mentioned different varieties. Is planting stock available for new commercial plantations?
Сегодня как раз мы и говорим о том, что
Today, we say that the last year was characterized by the fact that we have a large amount of stocks. 1/3 of harvest remained, but they were sold already according to custom statistics. For the 8 months of this year, the producers have sold 30.5 thousand nuts. This was almost the whole stock. But actually, we are going to develop our strategy for the development of export, including walnut, hazelnut, and almond. And this production is export-oriented. That's why in our selection, we use the main brand varieties, which create a backbone for all commercial orchards in Ukraine. Italian Tonda for hazelnut. As for the walnut, Lara Ferno French varieties. That are grown in Ukraine in our climate conditions and exported to Europe. They have good taste. They are well known for European customers. As for the almond, we have selected almond for the first time by ourselves, but we also use international varieties as Vira and others. That's why we speak about export potential of commercial orchards is to create orchards using best selection of varieties in the world, because commercial production is oriented to have homogeneous high quality materials that we can get only using high quality varieties. Thank you.
Thanks, Gennady. If anyone wants to contact Gennady Yudin, the president of the Ukrainian Nut Association, you can contact ITC. If you will have received an invitation from ITC, just contact them and they'll put you in touch. So the next stage of this morning's discussion is the presentation by the private companies. We've 4 private companies will present: Volnat, Filbert, Ukor Walnut, and AgroTrade Lubny. So I'll hand over to my colleagues at ITC Ukraine to introduce the companies.
Так, дуже приємно мені представити.
Yes, thank you very much. I am really glad to present private companies that work to expand orchards to promote Ukrainian nut brand. And now I would like to give floor to Andriy Guk, a production director of Walnut LLC. Just a moment, I will share the presentation. Andriy, the floor is yours. Good afternoon, everyone, dear partners. My name is Andriy, and I would like to present Walnut Company that deals with production of walnuts in Ukraine. Our company was founded in 2012. We have been looking for a long time for the technologies to produce and grow walnuts. And finally, we decided to use intensive technologies for growing walnuts because this is possible in our climate conditions, where in the southern part of Ukraine, this is the most southern point of Ukraine. We have found Sebastian Lenard in France that provided seedlings to us, and he continues consulting our orchard. We have 91 hectares of walnuts, partially Lara variety of French selection, and another part is Fermor, also of French selection. As I've already mentioned, all seedlings were brought from France from Lenard Company Nursery. Together with the Israeli company Metzer, last we have developed and introduced the dripping irrigation system, underground irrigation that allows us to irrigate trees and also to introduce necessary micro and macro elements for high quality production in our orchard. As for our objectives, our main objectives is to automate all processes to the maximum extent possible for our orchard. That's why we cooperate with another French company, BCI. We have developed facilities to wash and dry walnuts that allows us to dry up to 50 tons per day. And also this year, we have constructed facility to calibrate walnuts. We can calibrate our walnuts to 8 fractions that allows European partners to get calibrated nuts from us. And they can choose the caliber they need. We have a huge experience in export of walnuts. We've been exporting walnuts from our orchard for the last 5 years. We sell walnuts mainly to the European countries. We plan to get around 200 tons of walnuts this year. We have contracts for the part of our production, but still there are some stocks that have not been sold yet. That's why we are going to participate in Anuga Trade Fair together with ITC and Ukrainian Nut Associations. There at Anuga, we will have our stand that you can visit. I will be personally present there. So if you are interested in cooperating with us, I will be always glad to get acquainted with you and to get your offers. You can see now our contacts on the slide. And that's it on my side. Thank you, Andrei. I would like to present one more company presenting our farmers. And this company is presenting new area, and they grow and produce hazelnuts in Ukraine. Mr. Maxim, the floor is yours. Yeah. So I would like to introduce now Maxim Sheiko, owner of Filbert LLC. Just a moment, I will share the screen, I will share the video.
Добрый день, еще раз зовут меня Шейко Максим, я являюсь
My
представителем...
name is Maxim Sheiko. I am representing and owning Filbert LLC. So our company is quite young. We've been growing hazelnut only for 5 years, but we have achieved significant results for this time. Our company is located in southern part of Ukraine in Odessa city, almost on the Black Sea coast. Our company owns around 820 hectares of lands. We have 520,000 hazelnut seedlings. At the moment, our orchards comprise of Italian varieties Tonda di Zifoni, Romana, Tonda di Langhe, Martarella, Macchione. We have selected these varieties because they can be easily adapted to our soft climate. The yield is high and they can be easily blanched. Due to high volume of humus in our soils and the high quality irrigation system, the analysis of the hazelnut kernel showed significant results. For example, if we speak about the G40 variety with the humidity of kernels 5-6%, the proteins were at the level 15.1%, fats around 7%, and carbon were also at the good level. Despite the fact of the soft climate in Odessa, we have drip irrigation in our orchards with the latest models of fertilized herbs that we can control with the newest software. This year, our company announced the construction of the factory with Italian equipment that will produce, that will dry, calibrate, blanch, crack nuts, and actually will be able to calibrate our products and produce some hazelnut flavor and oil. Last year we had around 20 tons, and this year it's already more than 100 tons. And the trend is increasing for the over next year, and for the next 5 years we plan to have around 200,000 tons of in-shell hazelnut. Our company has not yet entered the European market because we didn't have enough volumes of products, but now there are representatives of several companies, like Ferrero Rocher, Besana, and Canadian company Global Impacts that are interested in buying our products and to cooperate with our companies in the future. They are interested not only in our quality and quantity, but also in the possibility of quick deliveries to the European countries. Because it takes around 5 days to deliver hazelnut from Ukraine to any part of Europe, despite Turkey, Azerbaijan, and Georgia, because today Europe has been facing problems with logistics.
Продолжайте, Максим.
Maxim, please continue. Just unmute yourself. So there were some connection problems. Yes, just mute yourself. You've just started speaking about logistics. So the European countries have been facing significant logistical issues, no drivers, no transportation means, delays in delivery of hazelnuts, and not only of hazelnuts, but other products. And our company has around 15 trucks, and that's why we're ready to deliver our products on time in any European country. Despite increasing demand of hazelnut, our company, Filbert, invites everyone to long-term partnership and cooperation. We also would like to invite both processors and importers. We would like to invite you to Anuga, a trade fair. We will be represented thanks to ITC and to Ukrainian Nut Association there, and we are ready to meet you there. So see you. Thank you, Maxim, for your presentation. There are 2 more presentations of 2 exporting companies that have successful experience of exporting products to Ukraine, to the world. Igor, the floor is yours. Just a moment, I will share and demonstrate your presentation.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Your presentation is on the screen.
My name is Igor Dячок. I'm head of export sales of Ukrvolnut company. The company is in the market of walnuts from the year 2001. We are experienced walnut manufacturer and exporter. At the moment, we export to more than 20 countries worldwide. Next slide, please. We are manufacturing Ukrainian walnut kernels, conventional and organic, mixes 90% of wholes, 80, etc., etc., etc. Everything which is available at Ukrainian market of walnuts. And from last season, we started to produce blanched walnut kernels. They can be conventional and certified organic. Very important that our organic certification were approved by German laboratory analysis. Our specification for the product for ordinary walnuts higher than DDP 2 allows, and we clear our product to 99.99%. For blanched, we clear for 100%. I think it's can be very interesting for the bakery, confectionery fabrics, etc. Next slide, please. And our capacity, we can produce walnut kernels, both conventional and organic, 1,000 tons per year. And from the last year, we achieved quantity of blanched walnut kernels, 150 tons per year. So both conventional and organic. The idea to produce something new, like blanched walnut kernels, arose something like 5 years ago, and we tried more than 3 years to achieve commercial size of produced walnut kernels. So we can produce approximately 20 tons per month. And this year we were classified for ANUGA test review with our blanched walnut kernels. We package our product to cardboard boxes with plastic polyethylene bag inside, and 5 kilos vacuum bags. And last year season we started to packaging to dough packs, 25 grams, 150, etc. And we carry our product on Euro pallets. We have our factory, storage, staff, equipment. Total number of our employees is 45. We are the most certified, authorized company in Ukraine who deal with Ukrainian walnuts. We are certified with HASP, ISO 22 and 3 more, and organic. All organic laboratory analysis we are doing in Germany. And we have our unique authorized code in European custom base. So our clients don't need to have Euro 1 certificate to import our product. We are close to you. We are a client-oriented company, and at the moment we are looking for new clients as well as investors. So if you are interested in cooperation, you're always welcome to contact us in any comfortable way, or would be better to meet us at ANUGA fair and discuss any questions, proposals, whatever. Thank you for your time.
Дякую, Ігоре, за вашу презентацію.
Thank you, Igor, for your presentation. I would just refer at our suggestions you want, or you can email to our participants. You will get all contacts after this meeting. We have one more presentation by Processing and Exporting Company. I'm really glad to introduce now Irina Vailonova, Sales Manager of Agrotrade Lubny LLC.
Good day, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you well.
My name is Irina, and I would like to tell you about Agrotrade Lubny. We started working in 2005, and now our production occupies 12,000 square meters and works 24 hours a day. Our company specializes in harvesting, processing of walnuts, and our goal is to supply fresh, ecologically pure Ukrainian products to other countries around the world, providing the best quality products and the impeccable image of the manufacturer of Ukraine. Our company processes now around 5,000 tons of walnut per season. But after installing new equipment this year, we plan to increase our processing volume up to 8,000 tons. For many years, we worked with walnut in shell only, but now we've got all the necessary modern equipment for processing walnut. And so now we work both with walnut in shell and with peeled walnut. Agrotrade Lubny puts the interests of its customers above all. That's why we buy the highest quality raw materials from ecological regions of washing takes place by passing the chemicals or other additional processes. This allows to achieve a high degree of purification and an ideal appearance of the nut while maintaining its natural texture if we speak about the walnut in shell. All our equipment is made of great stainless steel that meets the highest food industry standards. After washing and dry, the walnut is fed to inspection tables where the scrap is manually sorted, in accordance with the strict regulations. The whole nut is cracked with a splitting light, calibrated, aspirated, and processed on Sortex machines. We have 4 of them in our factory, where it's calibrated according to colors and is cleaned from the remnants of the shell and partition. Also, the product enters the line with a metal detector to exclude the smallest particles from entering the finished product. After that, the walnut kernel is manually controlled on inspection tables. Ready product we pack into all existing types of containers that are required by our clients. And has the right to our work with favorable conditions for both parties. Thank you.
Дякую, Ірино, за презентацію.
Thank you, Irina, for your presentation. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask them in our chat or by raising our hand. If you have some specific questions to certain companies, producers and processors, you can contact them because you have seen all the contacts on the screen.
Наразі я не бачу
I see no questions. so far. That's why I would like now to introduce the second edition of the catalog Natural Quality Edible Nuts from Ukraine, because unfortunately we can't present all companies that produce or export nuts because we're short of time.
Мені дуже приємно представити каталог горіхових
I'm
компаній.
really pleased to present the catalog of walnut companies that contain information about walnut and hazelnut producers, and also information about exporters with specific processing equipment. All materials from today's meeting and the renewed edition of the catalog will be sent to all our participants. You will be able, or the ITC office in Ukraine. And I'm pleased to say that we already have questions from potential customers from abroad that are interested to expand cooperation with Ukrainian producers and processors.
Хотілося б також наголосити про те, що
I would like to stress out that the companies will not only participate at Anuga trade fair this year, and I know that we have representatives from the Middle East today, and I would like to inform you that we plan to participate in Gulfood the next year. Hopefully it will take place, and we will be able to meet with you there in February the next year. If there are no questions, I would like then to thank everyone for the meeting. Jim, perhaps you would like to say a few words in conclusion.
Thanks, Elena. Well, let me say, first of all, thanks to all of our guests who've attended today, and thank you to our presenters. I hope you'll agree with me that there is something going on in the edible nuts sector in Ukraine. There's a lot of change, there's a lot of development. It's a sector in transition, and we're looking forward to the coming years and seeing these developments. Don't forget Anuga. You can meet a lot of different Ukrainian companies on the stand, which you can see in the screen now. I'm looking forward to meeting some of you there. Again, thanks to everyone. See you at Anuga. Have a good day.
до побачення. Всім гарного дня.
See you and have a nice day, everyone.